Hello, everyone. This is the Easy Allies podcast. I'm Kyle Bossman, the Dark Prince of Nerd Media. Joining us this week, Ben Moore. Sup? Daniel Bloodworth.
Hello.
Brandon Jones.
The Stretchers.
And Ian Hink.
Hi.
The Stretchers didn't make it to the podcast this week. Jones did everything he could to bring it onto the podcast. But that's it. I'm going to force you to Google the Stretchers. I'm not talking about it. Go ahead and Google that. In the meantime, Jones, if you would, begin correction music, please. Wait, I like this one. Is the joke that they're supposed to be bad, or what's the joke here?
No, it's kind of like a dartboard. I really just throw it, you know.
Well, you,
all right.
Jones, this one's a bullseye, dude. I love this.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You'll hate it next week. I know it.
Sure.
You'll be over it.
If a Splinter Cell game took place in 2050, Sam Fisher would be 93 years old.
He could still
Not
do
in
it.
his
He could
70s.
still
I
do
think
it.
he could still do it, yeah.
Still do it.
So the Command & Conquer Remastered game that was announced is Command & Conquer 1 Remastered, Red Alert Remastered, and then Covert Ops, Counter-Strike, and Aftermath expansions all bundled together. The first gameplay teaser came out last month.
How do you remaster FMV? Is it possible?
You don't.
Can you? I guess.
Yeah. It's still going to be a very, very low resolution.
Source material.
I wonder.
We're reshooting it.
Oh, I wonder if they do,
so
yeah?
great.
Like when they put Seinfeld on TNT, like maybe.
HD Tim Curry, just like. But that's not Red Alert. That's
That depends what they shot it on, too.
Yeah.
If they shot it on film, then yeah.
Was Seinfeld TBS very funny?
Yeah.
Okay.
TNT is like the serious one.
Speaking of TNT, that's
Right.
where Shaq works, not ESPN.
Oh, nice.
Shaq.
Yeah. Fist of the North Star, we wondered how it possibly got to number 17 on the top 25 media franchises. Pachinko money, baby. Pachinko money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Easy Allies Pachinko Machine win.
Yeah. Someone on Twitter sent basically
stream.
a breakdown of how most things make their money. Most things make their money entirely from merchandise.
Yeah.
What's funny is that was the same graphic I was looking at.
Oh, that's funny.
I just didn't want to go through every,
That
but
graphic
it's
is
really good to look at.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Really cool, yeah.
I was transfixed by that when I saw that on social media. Real good.
And then it turns out Call of Duty is number 26, so it just didn't make that graphic.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. And corrections music, please.
You need that Call of Duty merch.
Needs more merch.
Pachinko.
Or Pachinko. Think about it. Do y'all remember my favorite way to start a podcast?
Corporate Shakeups.
Corporate Shakeups.
Yeah, baby. Corporate
Yes.
Shakeups. Woo! All right, let's get into this.
Wait, you gotta play the song. You didn't play the song last time.
I figured people are sick of the song.
No, that's
You
the
have to
best
play the
part.
song.
That's the best part of Corporate Shakeups.
We
is
live
the
for
song.
Okay.
Corporate Shakeups and the song.
All right. Here we go. I get why it's popular.
Yeah.
It's a cool song.
What made it even better this time is that your mic cable was loose, so it had like a really terrible like mic falling apart sound.
All right, one more then.
All right. Well, tighten the XLR first. Push it in a little.
Wrap it. Yeah, we're wrapping
Yeah,
around.
see,
too.
every time that gets bumped, it sounds
But
terrible.
that's why you wrap it around
Has
the
that
back.
been happening
so
this whole
it doesn't-
podcast?
No.
pull
It's
against
you
it.
don't move a table
There you
mic
go.
generally.
Or even grabbing it. Yeah, it's better.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Hit us again. Hit us
Works
again.
both times.
I always liked how she says business.
Business. Yeah.
I never actually even
What is the line?
noticed what she said.
Baby, you're
I just
bad for
grouped-
business.
Maybe you're bad for business.
Baby, you're bad. Yeah.
This is why this is so much better than game announcements, though. Corporate Shakeups is the best theme song.
Yeah.
The game announcements theme song is just not as good.
Oh, God.
Stretchers.
Stretchers, that's not happening. Hermen Hulst, we may all remember, formerly of Guerrilla Games. He was the co-founder and managing director of Guerrilla Games. It's a name that I was not familiar with before Horizon, I would say.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't dig deep into Guerrilla Games. They kind of just seemed to me to be the Killzone studio. And basically, that's what they were.
Yeah.
So the journey this studio has had this generation, and the studio this very particular person has had in this console generation, is he's ending it as the head of Sony Worldwide Studios. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
Go ahead, Ben.
I had nothing to say.
Oh, okay.
The position of power.
Yeah, and so I think it's partially Horizon Zero Dawn, but I think it's also partially the collaboration with Kojima Productions on Death Stranding is a reason why this person was selected.
The engine.
The engine, Decima, was used for Death Stranding, but apparently also like a bunch of people from Guerrilla Games worked on Death Stranding as well. And so I kind of think like that collaboration, that high-profile collaboration, makes this like a high-profile upgrade. You know, we're putting this person as the head of Worldwide Studios.
Oh, for him?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Because he never talked about being interested in a position like this. Like, does that
Right. No, it's always been. I'm
even
excited
like
about
some
this
interview or
game.
something? I
Yeah.
wonder if like, because we don't do any honest to goodness reporting here at EC Allies. We just like to talk about things. But
Yes.
like, I wonder if people who are like trying to get scoops on that were like, is there some tweet from like 2014 or something where you're just like, you got a good job, Shu.
Yeah, I would really like to be the boss. Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
Is there any story for Shu being Japanese at this Japanese company, handing it off to someone who has a nationality that I'm completely unfamiliar with? Where's Gorilla located?
Jones, there is a scoop here. It's so funny you asked that question. I'll bring it up because Jim Ryan was so excited to talk about how he is European. Here we go. This is really funny. So speaking of GamesIndustry.biz, PlayStation CEO and President Jim Ryan said that Hulst's appointment will prove Sony is very much thinking globally as it moves into the next generation. Hermen is a European who will be taking one of the major offices at PlayStation, he said. I think everybody in Europe will be thrilled and happy and proud that that is happening.
Thank goodness, bringing Europe back together because Europe's really...
It's so oddly devoid of an actual country.
That's
Yes,
like, you know,
it is.
you know what that reminds me of? The beginning of Resident Evil 4. It's one of my favorite things about RE4. RE4 just starts and it says Europe. I'm like, cool. Probably close to Spain, but maybe not.
Not good enough. Amsterdam is where Guerrilla Games is located.
My head said Netherlands.
But it's
yeah.
Worldwide
Yeah,
Studios.
yeah,
It's
you nailed
officially his right? Head of Worldwide Studios?
Yes, yeah.
So it's just not only a Japanese company, a massive Japanese company. I don't know, super ignorant as an American if that's a big deal, if that's unprecedented or, yeah.
So yeah, I think it is. I
Who
think.
was before Shu?
Good question,
Very
Bloodworth.
good, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. And what is made clear through that Games Industry article, but also the interview they had with Jim Ryan recently, is it's part of the globalization of Sony, right? We talked about it when Sean Layden disappeared. It was basically, by the way, I checked his Twitter to see if he's like, hey, I miss you, PlayStation Nation. You know, nothing like that, but he retweets Concrete Genie a lot. And I find that the sweetest thing. So he still never said his goodbye.
Yeah.
You know, Gio Corsi said
Wow.
his goodbye. He wrote some really nice tweets and had images.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping you were saying like he retweets like Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. Game seems cool.
Yeah, big Luigi's Mansion fan for
Seems
some
pretty
reason.
cool.
I don't know why.
Yeah, but no, it's just like a 10 Concrete Genie retweets. It's like the sweetest, nicest
Fly
thing.
fishing somewhere, man. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so maybe we should talk about Shuhei Yoshida as well because he had an entirely new position created for him, formerly head of Worldwide Studios. His new job doesn't have a title.
Yeah, that's why I was like, he's doing something else, but he didn't give a name.
Right.
Good guy.
So the press release, Blood, said he will concentrate on our diverse community of independent developers, ensuring they have the tools, technology, and services to reach PlayStation's large community of gamers successfully.
So he's staying in Sony then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But as part of an indie initiative, which Sony currently doesn't have, and which I would say
they've gone really weirdly full circle, I guess, now this generation, because like we started out with like what was it, I Heart PlayStation, or what was it called, something like that?
Oh, I think it was like devs. You're right. There was like a dev initiative for.
Yeah, there's totally a whole indie thing. Like
Yeah,
even
They had like their own Summer of Arcade.
yeah, the 2016 E3, the last one before the public was let in, there was like tons of indies all over that booth.
Yeah.
You know, got like even guys that were like just making a game like one-man team. Mm-hmm. So, and then there had been a lot of reports about like Sony's kind of dropped everything indie and doesn't care anymore, and so everyone kind of like flooded over to Switch.
Yeah.
And now-
Visibly so, even.
Yeah. Now Shuhei's like, hey, we need to get back on this.
Blood, Jim Ryan has a response locked and loaded for you.
Okay.
Because Games Industry said so. They're like, hey man, what's going on?
I feel like Jim Ryan and Bloodworth are in a conversation right now.
I get this a lot, he said to Bloodworth. We feel that it's not a question of us coming back to the indies because we feel like we've never left. I would just point to the amount of engagement that PlayStation has made with that community over the course of the last 3 to 5 years in the VR space.
Okay.
Some people tend to forget about this, but the amount of indie engagement with VR is actually really very significant. We are very active with them. We've been engaged with human resource. That's correct. We've been very financially supportive. We've been sharing experiences as people start to learn about what makes a great VR experience. So Sony's response to we never left indie. We just went to VR indie.
That's so funny because like a friend of mine who's a dev told me like straight up he heard from on high at Sony. It was like, we're not doing indies anymore, like pretty much.
Yeah, and I mean like they dropped Watam, right, as something they're publishing.
Yeah.
Right. Annapurna has it.
Edith Finch I think was going to be published by Sony as well, and so they visibly did so. Like this is kind of like a cute little cushy answer, and it's partially true, right? I'm sure there are plenty of indie devs who would do VR games and said, yeah, Sony's been really nice with us.
I mean, even stuff like Journey, which was published by Sony, like Annapurna picked up and put on PC because it seemed like Sony was done.
Yeah. I don't think the VR argument is fair at all. And I think
Sony
it's something.
doesn't
Go
do
ahead.
press conferences anymore, and even when they did, their last press conference didn't say a heck of a lot about VR.
E3 2018,
Sure, yeah.
right? Has said nothing about. Well, actually, there was a little VR section.
A
of that, I
little,
think.
but again, it's like one of my favorite Sony moments from one of the best press conferences they've ever done. Had a ton. They had 8 games come out all at once, and they had the devs play those 8 games live. I'm assuming they might have just been standing there with the controller in front of gameplay, but
Yeah.
which they probably were. But it was just a neat. I don't know. It was a fun. And those were all really fun games. They were all really interesting, and so it's like, just a bummer that it doesn't get that. It's not a showpiece anymore.
So I think it's fair to say that at least public perception-wise, and it seems to be like the actual truth, Sony lags behind Microsoft when it comes to indie support, first party. Well, I mean, I guess you wouldn't call it first party, but publishing-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Microsoft's strategy is kind of strange to me. It's because they do have an initiative. They do put a lot of marketing behind indies for sure. They're at GDC in full force. They have an Indie Day. They are a big sponsor of the IGF Awards, I want to say. But a lot of the indies that they show, they don't really take them as like exclusives. You know, like you can get those same indies on Switch or on PC or whatever. There's just this handful of things like Cuphead or Ori that they take under their wings and actually publish.
Yeah. But I mean, Blood, even Cuphead and Ori is significant.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right? Like
extremely.
even that is more than what Sony is doing.
And you think about E3 2019 and how prominent indies were shown during their own press conference. I
Yeah.
mean, that was some of my favorite things of that press conference were the indie games that they showed off.
So I guess I want to ask, I mean, it is the corporate shakeups segment. I mean, we do get a little brutal. Was this position created to keep Shuhei Yoshida hired, or do you think this is a real initiative? Do you think we'll see a change
Neither.
with their indie initiative?
Neither.
You don't think we'll see a change?
I think this is something that she wanted to do.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it's
There's
something
a
like
real,
what they
I
do.
have
Yeah.
this real
That's what I
sense
thought,
that
too.
Shuhei wanted to do this, and that left a gap that they had to fill with somebody.
It seems like everyone's kind of doing that. It seems like the PS5 is a chance of just like, okay, this whole boat is leaving the harbor. Who wants to get on? And they're just like, like I don't necessarily. And I don't know if this is as big of a shakeup, but I just know the guy. John Drake also left, and John was largely responsible for. He's at Disney now, but it's
Disney Interactive?
Disney Interactive, or no, I don't think Disney Interactive's a thing. I think he's just at Disney, like
Doing
in
video game
charge
stuff,
of-
though?
Yeah, in charge of kind of what he did at Sony, which is
Just at Disneyland.
yeah, exactly.
My office is above Goofy's house.
Communicating. He's so great. I gotta go in. Excuse me, kids. I gotta go to a meeting. Yeah. But he was kind of like a liaison between like people making third party, even like first party stuff, and he was kind of like one of like the cool guys who would actually like, go to devs and talk to them, and it wouldn't be like a suit coming to talk. It would be somebody who's like actively invested like in the company and just kind of speaks their language and just gets them excited about those projects. And so it's where a lot of people are like, oh, this might be a good, okay, I'm gonna exit. This might be a good opportunity before we really get into this whole other cycle with this massive console. It's probably gonna be around for a full 10 years. And so it's So I see him being more involved in these companies, but I don't necessarily mean like, well, the next conference we have is going to have a ton of indies in it. It most likely won't. They'll really be focused on launch titles. They'll really be focused on performance and these big franchises that are like signed up for PS5.
To be fair, State of Play has kind of taken its new opportunity to focus on indies more than other Sony platforms.
I feel so bad, Ben, because it totally does. And then when it's over, I say, that was boring.
Yeah.
You know, when it's over, it's like, why weren't there more big games? It's like, well, we showed this cool, like, little Dead Viking game. What's wrong with you? I'm bored. You know what I mean? And, like, the support is there in those. That's totally true.
The one with all the people flying off the platforms in all crazy directions. And
Oh, yeah.
Humanity.
Yeah, thank you, Ian.
Kyle, I think that's totally fair. At the same time, I also think, like, if you as a company tease these big things, right? If you tease Ghost of Tsushima, if you tease your audience is naturally going to want more of that stuff. Like if they're made aware of it, it does make sense that they want more of it instead of just like something else, big or small. Sometimes I feel like.
Yeah, because Tsushima was like years ago since we've seen anything, right?
No, it was last year. It was E3 last year.
Was it?
No, because they weren't there. Or that was this year.
2018.
this year.
E3
Yeah.
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Right?
Life is a
2
blur.
years ago, though.
Life is a blur.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you're right in that there's been nothing since E3 2018. So yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
The same day was the first time I ever played Spider-Man on PlayStation 4. So to give you a sense of how long ago that was.
Never forget.
So yeah, Jones, I think your theory right now is actually shared with GamesIndustry.biz. The article they wrote up about the globalization of the company kind of suggests that some parts of the company are getting less power. You know what I mean? And basically becoming redundant almost because the way that they want to market things and develop things is every region at once, as opposed to, okay, here's what Sony Europe is doing, here's what Sony America is doing, here's what Sony Japan is doing. Jim Ryan said that Spider-Man was the first proof of this, that Spider-Man had the same marketing campaign in every region, and it worked, right? And so they, like that is their plan going forward.
It's also Spider-Man. Like I wonder how
Yeah.
Like I
And
wonder how
Judgment 2 do that.
Yeah, I wonder how that would work with something that isn't tied to one of the most globally successful.
The next one he brought up was Last of Us Part 2, which I think obviously is going to be another instant success. But will it be Spider-Man level? Will it be the next best-selling exclusive all time for Sony?
Does this mean that Ratchet will have the same eyebrows around the world?
Does he not currently?
I think he gets different eyebrows in Japan, right? Yeah.
It's a Kirby situation.
Yeah, blood. This is what that means, dude. They're gonna have to like find some equilibrium, man. They're gonna have to find like it's gonna be a little thicker in the U.S., a little thinner in Japan.
They just remove his eyebrows.
You know what? Yeah, I can't
Take it away.
I can't take these meetings anymore. Take them off. Okay. We'll see about that, Bob.
Googling Ratchet eyebrows is really funny.
Yeah.
Because, it's, I don't know.
What does it look like when they're gone? Did anybody yet Photoshop?
The game doesn't come up.
Yeah, Ratchet, no eyebrows.
The slur for, I don't know what, does Ratchet mean like, I don't know.
I can't keep
not
up with slurs,
classy
man.
or whatever, but like, it's all just like that kind of Ratchet, you know what I mean?
I get that now.
I don't really know how to describe it.
You just Googled Ratchet.
I googled Ratchet eyebrows.
Yeah, okay.
But now I see them. Yeah, they're huge in.
We just need a live feed of your internet searches,
Yeah.
like in a little box.
No, not safe for work.
Before we move on, I want to do a fun little game. I'm going to test the knowledge of this panel. Sony's Worldwide Studios is, and it's weird. In the GameIndustry.biz article, it said 14. Went to Wikipedia, said 15. So there are between 14 and 15 actual studios within Sony Worldwide Studios.
Didn't the press release say 14?
Oh, that may have said 14 as well then, yes, because a lot of that article came from that. So then there's one that Sony is not proud of that Wikipedia mentions. I don't know which one it is. But let's see how many of these 14 or 15 studios we can think of.
Insomniac.
Oh, you just want to
Yeah, Insomniac's
rapid fire
new.
'em.
Yep, they just
Okay.
got it 2019. Insomniac's one of them.
Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog's in there.
Guerrilla Games.
Yep.
We got Sony Bend.
Yes.
We got Japan Studio.
Yep.
Obviously, Sony Santa Monica.
Obviously, Sony Santa Monica.
Well, I heard it's
Or just Santa Monica, right?
Yeah. Santa Monica Studio is what it's technically called. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe they changed that.
Do they have any
slightly.
other cities?
Yeah, now I'm like having a harder time thinking about.
What if they have other cities that start with SAN?
Santa Cruz?
No. San Diego.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, San Diego.
And this one's really hard. This one I would have not have known.
Because they're just doing like MLB now, right?
Yes. I think they previously did that like free-to-play online game. And I think they might be working on something else. But
They did like
yes.
Mod Nation.
Yeah.
Nation Racers.
Oh yeah.
This one I did not know about, San Mateo Studio. And I looked at what they do. It's only support for other games so far. Is
Okay.
basically for many, many years, they just support other games in development.
I'm guessing that there's probably other Japanese studios that are not Japan Studio.
Yeah, here's a weird one. Forward Works. They only do mobile games that mostly only sell in Japan.
Okay, I don't know them at all.
Yeah. Or yeah. We have never had access to any of the games from Forward Works.
Media Molecule.
Yeah, baby. Nice.
Oh.
Good pull.
Nice.
I wasn't sure if they were actually a Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's first party. That's Worldwide Studios.
Is Naughty Dog?
We said that.
Yeah.
Oh, you said that one? Mm-hmm. What about Naughty Dog?
Naughty Dog's in.
Naughty Dog!
Yeah.
Baby, yeah,
They still making games?
Another one I never heard of before. Manchester Studio.
Oh, I have heard Manchester. Yep.
You have heard of
They
it.
did the VR games, right?
They've helped with the VR games. Yeah. So it was London and Manchester who did
London and Man. Okay, got it.
So yeah,
So
nice.
that London's the other one that we haven't said then.
I think you said London. Did someone not say London? Oh,
Not
okay.
say
Sorry
London.
for
You gave
busting
it
that one.
up.
I gave it up. Okay. There's a couple of two more huge ones, and then one that's like a really cool, obscure new one.
Two more huge.
Like my
ones.
sons.
I couldn't get any.
Let's think of
Not something I thought we
Sony's biggest franchises, best-selling franchises.
Killzone.
I know exactly.
Resistance.
I know
Those are good.
exactly what you're alluding to, and I'm blanking.
Oh,
Infamous.
Polyphony.
Yeah, baby.
yeah.
Yes.
That's why
Maybe
I
the
knew
Gran
like there's
Turismo, yeah.
other Japanese out there. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and then we got another one. That's another huge one.
Yeah,
We just talked about this game. We haven't seen it since E3 2018.
Oh, Sucker Punch.
Yes.
I feel like I've
That was
said
another
that
one
name
that I was like, are they
100
actually
times,
owned by Sony?
and
or
I'm
not?
just
yeah.
in the moment blanking on it.
All right, and then
It
the
sucks
last
so
one.
much.
This is really fun. We talked about it kind of recently on the podcast. We said, is this studio going to be known after they publish this game? Sean Layden loves them. They retweet them all the time.
I don't
know
remember the
the
name of the
concrete-
concrete.
I don't
training
That's what I'm
studio.
wondering. Is
Yeah.
if like, do we have this name memorized yet?
No.
Pixel Opus is the name of the
There it
studio.
is.
Yep.
But they're owned by Sony.
Yes. And what's
Interesting.
weird is they're in San Mateo. So I wonder if the difference, the discrepancy between the 14 and 15, I wonder if Sony San Mateo is Pixel Opus. I wonder if that's the same thing.
Did you mean to say Shuhei Yoshida, not Sean Layden?
No,
or
Sean-
do they both tweet him all the time?
Sean Layden keeps tweeting the Concrete Genie stuff.
Oh wait, and he's never said a goodbye?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's
what?
crazy. It's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
It's like there's a
That's
bunch
so
of
weird.
like Concrete Genie, and then there's just one tweet here. He's like, I think Crackdown 3 is pretty good.
It's wild. You got to go see it. Before we recorded the pod, I'm really excited about this podcast. Look, I'm the Dark Prince, baby.
What are you the Dark Prince of?
Nerd Media. And as the Dark Prince of Nerd Media, I was totally prepared to just skip right through the Blizzard stuff this week. But Bloodworth made a good case. This isn't the Dark Prince of Nerd Media podcast. It's the Easy Allies podcast. I can't speak for everybody. So I want to cover it. I want to have a little discussion about it. I want to start with that apology. I got some quotes from it. So basically, last week on the podcast, we're like, "Hey, we'll talk about it if they have a good apology. If they have an apology, I can't wait to talk about their games." The apology. I'm leading the panel here as moderator. I'm doing a bad job. Apology sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Apology like boned it. It was the first part of BlizzCon. It was for the first part of the opening ceremony. Sorry, I'm still looking for the name of the president and CEO of Blizzard.
Jalen Brack.
Thank you.
Was
Yeah,
it before any trailers or anything?
before anything.
That was a start.
And his first words, Ian, Blizzard had the opportunity to bring the world together in a tough in a tough Hearthstone esports moment about a month ago, and we did not. A tough Hearthstone esports moment is what last... Okay, buddy.
Whatever you do, don't talk about it.
We moved too quickly in our decision-making, and then, to make matters worse, we were too slow to talk with all of you. We didn't live up to the high standards that we really set for ourselves. That's what this person said.
I mean, I agree that they moved way too quickly and then way too slowly. I think that part is accurate.
Yeah, to me, Ben. Okay, it's there are a couple weird things about just starting off with this. It's specific. We know exactly what he's talking about.
Right. But he won't say it exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just called it a difficult Hearthstone esports moment. Excuse me, a tough Hearthstone esports moment.
Can you imagine if he had been like, hey, we kowtowed to fascists and stomped down on free speech, and we're sorry. Like, how do you come back?
It was a rough week. It was a rough week.
Yeah.
What I should say is that this wasn't a glib delivery. He was on the verge of tears the entire
he was very
time.
serious, yeah.
And so that it is so strange to me how such like an empty apology like was evoking such emotions from him. He did claim
Here's the
personal
thing, though,
responsibility.
is
Sure.
like, it's like we make fun of corporate newspeak all the time, but it's that way for a reason because it's vetted by lawyers. Like,
Yeah.
Everything is worded so that it can't be incendiary or usable.
So then why are you crying, man? Why are you crying over
Because
epic entertainment? He's
I
like,
guess
epic.
because
He's like,
he knows what he's saying, like what he means to be saying, or it's just an act if you're a real cynic. But
I can't get that cynical.
I don't think it was an act, but
yeah.
It's
Well, they're
just
certainly not like happy about it.
No,
Like,
right.
I'm sure.
Right.
All
like,
of the
he
people
knows why
like
he's saying it.
directly
Yeah, I get what you're
placed
saying.
at the and not just him, but people in that decision. Again, I'm not like saying we should let's heap up a ton of sympathy at these people, but like I'm sure in his position he can be scared about this scenario and nervous and can probably channel a lot of that stuff when making a speech. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure it was immensely, like the amount of stress and anxiety that is going on at that studio all around, like that whole storm on top of like, here are these big projects that we're unveiling. Here's how we're unveiling them. Like, I imagine it's an incredibly strenuous time for everybody, for sure.
Also,
It's-
public speaking just like
yeah,
Yeah.
makes
sucks.
you feel emotional.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you could start crying just talking about like new skins or whatever if you're just nervous,
I cry on this podcast all the time.
Like a little too frequently.
yeah.
I'm the Dark Prince.
just weeps through podcast halftime every time.
Yes, excuse me. Like, I do want to make that clear. I don't want to make fun of anybody for showing emotion and almost crying.
Right, crying is not bad.
To me, the emotions didn't match the speech. I guess when I
Right.
read the transcript back to the video I just watched, it doesn't match. And I guess Ian's case is the thing is like, well, this was the script that was written, but he was still feeling those feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a very different thing to read it and to hear it, for sure.
But I
You get a
can't
different
recommend
impression of
hearing it. You do, but like what was written is the actual thing that's happening. In the end, he basically says, hey, our actions going forward are going to be louder than the words that I can give you right now. And the actions are, look at everybody, everybody at BlizzCon right now is able to express themselves however they want. And like that was the end of the speech. Those are the actions, right?
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
has changed with Blitzchung. Nothing has changed with the two broadcasters who like had their jobs taken away.
Well, nothing has changed since the first
Right.
apology. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah,
so it's a second
they
apology
cut
with no
his-
change.
They cut his suspension in half and gave him the money back, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is what is the result of the apology is, hey, our actions going forward are will speak for themselves, and then here at BlizzCon, anybody can wear any shirt they want, basically.
The part of the apology that I thought was interesting was when he said, I take accountability for this. And I just thought in my head, I was like, okay, how? Just by saying that? Or is there something that's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, taking accountability for something, I guess, means just saying it.
Yeah.
But, like, usually when people say I'm taking accountability for that, they quit.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this isn't maybe this guy's fault. I don't know. That's why this issue is so bizarre, because we don't have anyone to blame.
Right. I think
know?
that's the thing is he doesn't want the blame to be put on whoever made the decision. He just put it on me. Like if you want to be upset at somebody, be upset at me. Don't be upset at the rest of our developers that didn't have anything to do with this, et cetera, et cetera.
Right,
yeah.
right. Like, don't be mad at the Diablo 4 devs because
Yeah, the people that have been, putting, 20-hour days in or whatever that haven't even, didn't know that this was going on.
We didn't really discuss this before, though, but like I think one of the things that I didn't realize until I found out it was happening, a lot of people were like, "Oh, here we go, it's about to start," and I was like, "Oh, that's right. Here, all right, I have to tune into this. I'm curious."
Oh, so you watched this live?
Was like what he was saying, where he's like, "What the steps we're going to take now are nothing. We're not going to do anything at this BlizzCon. We're just going to let everyone do what they want to do." I didn't even think about it until that moment where I was like, "Oh, how wonderful would it be to have part of this?" Maybe it doesn't even have to be today. Maybe it can be some panel in a couple days, but just something that actually talks about this, actually does give a platform to people to discuss this issue.
Yeah.
Which is why the fact that he can't even mention it by name specifically, he can't even say the name, can't even say China in, his speech is like, wow, people in his position, which is why I was kind of talking about coming from the executive out, showing up at BlizzCon and stepping out of that stage and like seeing, his audience doesn't realize not saying China's a big deal. Like they don't, that's not a red flag that comes up when that piece of, that Google Doc's going around, at the company and they're like, trying to pick the absolute best words and was saying lawyer up so that they don't, shoot themselves in the foot. That doesn't seem like that's going to be that alarming. And that was like the first thing I saw when this was trending. It was like one of the first tweets was like, wow, he made it through that entire thing and didn't mention BlizzChunk's name, didn't mention China, didn't mention protesting, didn't even say the word protesting. Like
it was a tough Hearthstone esports moment, and that's the best we got.
Yeah.
Here's another weird thing. Another weird takeaway for me is an apology with applause breaks.
Yeah. That was super awkward to me.
And so I don't know if they were planned or not. I don't want to criticize planning the applause breaks because the first one came the first moment he broke up, and it was just the audience having his back. It's like, oh, I'm about to cry right now. The audience has your back. But you got to do whatever you can to not have applause breaks in your apology. It messes it up tonally.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they were planned. I think he just stopped because they started clapping.
I mean, yeah.
But I mean, the thing with being at BlizzCon is these are all people who came to BlizzCon, and by and large, that's Blizzard fans, right?
Yeah.
So it's obviously everyone jokes about Bethesda having paid actors in their audience, like the Woo guy or whatever. But this is the next best thing, and it's a captive audience. They love you already, So they're gonna be really excited and supportive, kind of almost no matter what you say. I feel in that room,
Yeah, and so that is Ian, that is kind of interesting because this is something that Jones talked about just last week. Is he likes to see the executives sweat. He likes to see them up on stage, see them live. But in this case, I wonder if the liveness changed the way that the apology is felt.
Well, it shows what we learned at BlizzCon last year, which is they're not always in control of that show. Their audience can step up, and that enthusiasm. That is an enthusiastic fan base. That's a loud fan base. That's a fan base that's kind of encouraged to shout for the horde. They're encouraged to speak up.
It was well mic'd.
Yeah.
Oh, the audience.
You could hear the audience. I mean, I don't know
That was probably all
space.
set up months ago.
Just the reaction shots of people with elf ears going oh, that was so good. It's just what?
Yeah.
He killed it, man. That was so good. This is about epic entertainment. It's that's the phrase. You use the phrase epic entertainment. Combine everybody with epic entertainment. It's
and also just again with everything going on in the world, with everything going on in Hong Kong, with everything going on in China, to come out and be we had a hard week.
Yeah.
It's
rough.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, I don't know if you saw the PC Gamer interview with J. Allen Brack.
I did not. No.
So there was an interesting bit in there where he talks about the I believe it's Weibo. Is that how you pronounce it? The
Chinese Twitter, basically.
Yes, yeah, where we mentioned hey, they came out on there. I believe it was the Hearthstone account, and they were hey, we'll along the lines of hey, we won't for the pride of the country or whatever. Very interesting tweet. He was in China, we can't operate those games. NetEase did that, and we wouldn't have approved that if they had asked us to send that. Kind of just saying hey, they did that on their own. That wasn't us. And I think that is interesting context. I'm glad that I have that information. But at the same time, it's a little bit weird to me, I guess, thinking about it when it's you get up there and you're we accept accountability. And then it's also but hey, that part wasn't us. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just... Yeah. It's like there's ownership and distance at the same time with this apology, which is very strange. Like it makes it feel like a very odd tone, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know how to feel about all of this.
Well, and it's issues like this that make me think about how in its infancy humanity is with like technology like the internet and new kinds of international business ethics and stuff like this, because like Blizzard wants Chinese money, and Chinese money is better than American money just based on volume, right? Like if you're firing on all cylinders in China and India and other Asian and European countries, you kind of don't even need America, right? Like just by pure financial volume. And I mean, I'm not an economist, but like it seems to be the case. And so it's like they're not going to do anything to piss off China in their apology. They're just going to try to do as much as they can to calm down America because we're loud, without alienating their actual new international interests, you know? And them saying stuff like, well, we can't control Chinese media is true because they can't, because it's so insular, you know? But like they also don't care, I think. You know what I mean? Like they just want that money. And like they're going to try to play every side because that's what business is, you know, when you're at this scale, I think. And it's kind of freaky. I mean, maybe I'm just being like a cyberpunk futurist, like nihilist here about like post-capitalist hellscapes or whatever. But like, I don't know, man. It's kind of nuts. It's like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. It's like different countries have very, very different governing bodies that behave in very, very different ways. I mean, I don't know if we're going to talk about it on this podcast, but the new like video game curfews and stuff that China just installed are pretty wild. And like if something like that happened here, there'd be riots, but over there that's just how it is, you know? And it's so nuanced and complicated that for a business to make all sides happy is nearly impossible. So I think what we're going to see going forward over our lifetimes is like every business is either going to try to just keep things really quiet, or they're just going to have to settle with keeping everyone kind of like mildly annoyed but tolerant. Because then that's how you make the most money, right?
Yeah, I mean, I liked bringing up Shaq last week, right? Because Shaq is like, hey, I'm about to go to China and make some Chinese money this weekend. But they let me say whatever I want. And that is why this whole thing came up in the first place. It wasn't a tournament exclusive to China for a Chinese audience, right? It was an international tournament. Right. And so, you know, when we talk about like the infancy of the internet, it's funny. Basically, I want to believe in this time where eventually, kind of ties in with our first discussion, eventually this planet Earth is so globalized that we do almost have a shared system of values across this entire planet. I think we'll all die before that happens. But like, I think
we're in the growing pains right now.
Yeah.
That's making that eventuality possible, maybe.
I think that's the direction we're headed toward. I think we'll die before we get there. I think humanity can't last that long. But I do think it's like closer to that, right? Like it's like,
unless Neil Stephenson is right and the society fractures and then we have people living in like post-reality sort of subcultures where they just believe everything that's fake, you know?
No, tell me more about this.
There's a book called Fall or Dodge in Hell. It's not very good. The first half is the most interesting part, but they try to destroy the internet by making everything in it completely untenable, like that you can't trust anything, but it backfires and makes everyone fracture into insular groups that then evolve into like the entire, like there's an entire half of America that thinks like this crazy event in the book actually happened, whereas everyone else is like, no, we can go there. We can see that this city was not nuked. You know.
That's good sci-fi.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of sci-fi, right? That's
Yeah.
just an accurate picture. That's Metal Gear Solid 2, man.
And
It's just, here's a photograph of what's going on.
It's terrifying. Yeah. So that's the bad version of what you're describing. But I hope that we go the Star Trek route.
When you say it's they're having their cake and eat it too, that's entertainment. Like that's what I think is so fascinating about the games industry. And in so many ways, we are moving forward ahead of other entertainment industries. And in some ways, like I brought up with like sports and the Oscars, like there is a legacy of people using a entertainment artistic platform to win awards, to win championships, and then make a political statement. And like for video games to be like, nope, not in our company, not in this industry. It's like, huh? Because we're so stuck in our old ways of being like a 40-year-old industry. Like I thought we were supposed to be cool and hip and forward thinking, and now Blizzard. So it's weird to see Blizzard change, just like you said. But I think that's a really great opinion in and of itself, that I don't know what to think about this. Like,
yeah, well, I mean,
this company is surprising me again and again at their ignorance and inability to just like or necessarily inability, but just strong desire to dance around this constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Ian brought it a lot back to money, but I also think I think there's probably a lot here that's not being candidly said, and it does tie to money in the end, but I think it also ties to relationships and to culture as well, to where I think there's some level of he's trying to play both sides because he, perhaps he doesn't want to, condemn whoever made this decision over there too harshly. He wants them to be able to save face or whatever, and because in their mind and their culture and their value system, like they think that they did the right thing, and having to navigate between the two cultures with such completely different worldviews is got to be incredibly difficult.
Mm-hmm. It is incredibly difficult, but it's not unprecedented. There are other businesses doing it. You can look at them. You can learn from them. You don't have to do it the way that they're doing it. And that is why I think it was a stinky apology.
Right.
That's why I think it was insufficient. Does the panel... So, I mean, I watched the trailer for Overwatch 2. I watched the trailer for Diablo 4. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, after watching them, I'm like, I'm totally fine not talking about these games on the podcast. You know what? I'm good. Do we want to? Is there anything that stands out to you?
I don't have a ton to say, but I think I'm more interested in Overwatch 2, not necessarily because of the trailer, because the trailer is cinematic, but because of what the game seems to be, because there's more story-focused storytelling within the game. Mm-hmm. Whereas, Ben and I were talking earlier, like the first Overwatch was like, the story is really well thought out and big backstory, but you can't get that by playing the game. Like you have to do all these other comics and webisodes and all this kind of thing.
I have a lot to say about Diablo 4, both in the context of it just as a game removed from all of this, and then bundled with all of this together, and my own personal feelings, because it's a bit of a mess right now. And it's I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot, and I don't know how to necessarily unpack it in an efficient way. So we could talk about it, but I feel like there's a lot to say, because I feel like just removing it from this Hong Kong stuff, I feel like in a lot of ways these announcements at BlizzCon were both interesting and disappointing. It was kind of the best and worst of Blizzard in a lot of ways to me. Where I think it's an interesting idea in the case of Overwatch 2 to extend the olive branch and say, hey, if you don't get Overwatch 2, you get all of this stuff. But then you think about it and you're like, well, if I'm paying for Overwatch 2, I'm not convinced that there's a lot here.
Which is the
PvE story missions,
right?
And push mode. And it's this doesn't seem, I don't know, when you announced Overwatch, it felt like, oh my God, this is so out of the box for Blizzard. This feels so new and exciting. And nothing about Overwatch 2 screams new and exciting.
Yeah.
I want PvE missions. I think that's a good thing. I'm not necessarily saying what they're doing is bad, but it's weirdly not exciting.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's sort of why is it not Overwatch 2.0? Right?
Sure.
I mean, I'm sure they might probably already have a 2.0 or whatever, but it essentially it should be an upgrade
This is what
to
I
the
thought
experience,
too. Yeah.
not a sequel.
Or an
if
expansion.
the original game is still going to be getting all this stuff and makeover, it's really strange to to segment it, to separate it, to have it as two different pieces of things that you come by on a shelf.
So I don't talk about Activision's pressure over Blizzard too much because it's a lot of guessing. But I do remember publicly they said last year they're going to try to push out more games. And so I think it was an important thing to, at least Activision Blizzard, to have it be a new game.
That's so dumb, though. Like, if it's only a new game because Activision wants another SKU, like, that's so silly. Like, if this stuff was planned as being an add-on, but now it's only another box because Activision wants to make another $60 out of it, it's so weird.
I mean, I don't know how far back it would go, but it sounds like it's been planned as Overwatch 2 for quite some time. They even apologized for the state of Overwatch right now, saying, hell, we've been working on Overwatch 2 so much. That's why you haven't had so much great stuff in Overwatch. Like, it's
Funny.
Bizarre.
Man.
But I just feel like with the kind of announcement that they had with Overwatch 2, I think, I don't know if hungrier is the right word, but I feel like with another company, if they had the kind of announcement that they had with Overwatch 2, I feel like there would be like and it's coming soon. But it's not.
It's not. Diablo 4 is not coming soon. Overwatch 2 is not coming soon.
Diablo 4, I think, is different in my mind. I'm just saying with the type of content and the way that they're planning and thinking about Overwatch 2, it felt like it needed and it's coming soon.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Where and that's something that is so frustrating about Blizzard is it seems like so much of their competition is trying to move as quickly as possible. They're trying to like constantly engage people. They're moving quickly and like Blizzard just isn't. And so you kind of, or at least I run into these situations with Blizzard games where they are like explosively fun out the gate. And then you're like, wait, like this isn't changing fast enough. Like this isn't moving fast enough. There's like, you look at other games, you look at competition, and it feels like there's kind of this hunger, this desire to constantly mix things up, to try things, to change things, to not be afraid to even like break things. And just with Overwatch, it felt like it slowed down. With Hearthstone, it just felt like it became this glacial pace. And like you would have something exciting happen, and then it would be this kind of dead zone. And it's just like they feel like sometimes they're maybe operating to their own tune, to their own detriment.
Right.
Sure.
Well, I mean, it sounds to me from some of the stuff I was reading today that they've iterated a lot about Overwatch,
Right.
but they've been afraid to actually release it to the public.
Right.
They're like, oh, this mode is, it's cool for a bit, but then it gets stale, so let's scrap it, and then try another one. Oh, then I'll scrap it. And it's just
Right.
this weird experimentation behind the scenes that nobody sees is happening that just ends up on the cutting room floor.
And to put the shoe on the other foot, right? Like they have built their entire company on that philosophy of like we're not going to release it until it's good, and so like it on some level, I get why they have the thought processes that they do, but just with Overwatch 2 and its own success and kind of the momentum that it has, it feels sometimes, from an outsider's perspective, weirdly out of step with the way other games are building momentum and how they're talking to their audience.
It's so strange after Rocket League and League of Legends and Fortnite, like they're bothering with the two.
Fair. Yeah.
It's like it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be interesting to see it perform. It's still Overwatch is a very popular franchise. It's just like.
Do we think a year from now they're going to be in a better spot? Do you think a year from now they're going to talk about Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2 again?
I'm afraid they are. Like, there's a part of me that feels like they're making these announcements because they have to have an event every year.
I mean, to be frank, Kyle.
Oh yeah, that's what BlizzCon feels like now.
It feels like they're in a much better spot just because they announced Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Which, like, that's something that I want to bring up, and it's like I am not sure how to properly express it because I haven't even started my own feelings on it. But like, I agree with you. I thought the apology was bad, and obviously I thought the incident itself was handled horribly. Like, but there's definitely a huge part of me that also really wants to play Diablo 4.
Sure.
That sees people talking on stage, that get excited and passionate about the game, who probably had nothing to do with that decision, and that resonates with me. And so it feels frustrating. Like, those two impulses feel frustratingly contradictory to me.
Well, and for me, it's funny because by a, immense margin, as in like don't care about it all and love Diablo. Diablo is my favorite of the all Blizzard franchises, and like this one, it's so funny because Diablo, kind of what you want is just more Diablo, but when you just see more Diablo, you're like, oh, all right, it's because like for me, their CGs are always incredible. And then the gameplay trailer was pretty good. It showed off a few cool new things, like Druid coming back. It's cool and like whatever. But yeah, I was kind of just like, oh, okay, it looks like Diablo. And maybe it's Diablo 3's weird release. Because, yeah, like they do have they did have that thing, like Ben said, where it's like, oh, Blizzard always takes their time and releases a game when it's super good. But with Diablo 3, I felt like they sort of botched it a little bit when it came out because it was just kind of a weird...
A little bit?
Yeah, like the game was not great when it came out. And then like, so my initial reaction to seeing this Diablo trailer was like, oh, cool. 8 months after this game comes out, it'll be cool. Like, it'll be good, you
Yeah, that's
know?
fair.
Which is just kind of a funny thing to think about a sequel I've been looking forward to for years, But,
Since I don't have that much experience with Diablo, Ben, do you buy into this talk of it going back to the Diablo 2 roots? Do you feel like it's
They always say
capturing
that.
the way they claim?
So I like the way it looks, and I mean, like metal and demons and stuff is just kind of my jam by itself, but removed from that, I think there is value. And I think if you look at kind of the way Blizzard games have looked for a long time, since the explosive, overwhelming dominance of World of Warcraft, there has been kind of a similarity in style, where it's like we're kind of taking this base and changing it a little bit. And it didn't feel that way as much, I think, before the explosion of World of Warcraft. And I am definitely overgeneralizing and oversimplifying, but I think there is value in the direction that Diablo 4 is taking, because even just watching that cinematic, you're like, oh, this is actually like kind of fucked up a little bit in a way that it feels like we weren't going here before. I'm not saying it's like crazy or anything, but I think there is some value in just that aesthetic difference on its own. What I'm worried about and what I am like not convinced is good, I think it's awesome that they are, I think it is a good thing that they are making it not separated by zones anymore, that you're not going to be going through loading screens, that it's one seamless world. I think they could use that in interesting ways. I think that could make the idea of like actually adventuring and suddenly stumbling upon like, oh, this mob is way too high level, like that feeling of danger and adventure, I think they could utilize that really well. I'm not convinced that public events in a Diablo game are great. I'm not convinced of the idea that shared world Diablo is great. It like the way that they talk about it, I don't know. I'm not convinced in what it adds from a gameplay sense, and it feels more like a modern convention coming in than anything else. Like if you want to play Diablo by yourself, do you really want to see other people running around? I don't know that I do. Like, it's kind of nice having the choice of, if I want to play with people, I get to choose when I play with people. If I don't, I don't. And I'm not, like, sold on the sense that Diablo 4 needs to be this thing. But way more concerning than all of that is, and this is kind of what I was talking about with, like, depth and lastability, is the kind of the way they're talking about simplifying stats and making it so it's like, oh, we don't want to have players make calculations on the fly. And it's like, okay, are you removing options then? Like, I don't want to just like be playing Diablo and have it be like, oh, well, this is just better, so I equip that, because then it's not interesting. Like, I want you to sell me on the fact that like when I'm getting gear, I am actually going to have to make interesting decisions. And it's funny that like this conversation is coming up because I've been getting really into Path of Exile. Why I've been getting into Path of Exile is those decisions are happening all the time where like I have to sit there and look at gear and be like, do I actually want this? I don't know if this is objectively better. It might just be like a different way to go. And it's really interesting. And I feel more engaged with it rather than just like, oh yeah, like
green numbers.
Yeah, green numbers. The game is saying this is better. And that like, that is kind of the thing about Blizzard that is really frustrating. And I think to their credit and to their strength, they make games that you want to pick up and play and that are so polished and feel so good. And that's exciting. But then you get bored of it after a month because, like, it's just not pushing you quickly enough. And I hope that with Diablo 4, like, if they are talking about going back to the roots of Diablo, like, don't be afraid. Like, especially if you're invoking the name of Diablo 2 so much in terms of, like, design inspiration and aesthetic inspiration, like, I think it's okay, especially with all the other properties that you have, to maybe make people a little confused, or maybe like immediately know what to do, or like dare to challenge people. Like that's the kind of stuff that I think I would like to see. It's probably not going to happen.
Also, I hope that the story is actually like interesting.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's cool to see Anarius, you know, who's probably the guy in chains, flashed in the cinematic because he and Lilith whatever and created Nephilim and tralala whatever. But like, I was thinking about it, and the main character of Diablo 3, at least, is sort of ancillary to all the things that are happening. Like, Leah and all the other characters are, like, kind of the main thrust, and you're just kind of, like, doing the things that these other characters need you to do to make all this crazy stuff that's way big above your pay grade happen, kind of. That's how it kind of feels. And I think that that's a good, like, evoking, like, smallness and helplessness is good for the first part of a story like this. But I would be really interested to see a Diablo where, like, story choices matter or exist at all, or, like, things that you do change things, you know? I mean, I know it's not exactly the kind of game Diablo is, but it'd be interesting. I don't know.
I think something that's frustrating about Diablo 3 is the story is bad, but it, like, beats you over the head with it.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably better in the type of game that they're making, where if you really want to dig into the story and you really want to learn all the lore, like, you can spend extra time talking to people, but it also feels out of the way if you have no interest in that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think it, like, yeah, Diablo 3 is frustrating, the fact that, like, the story is bad and it's just, like, so obnoxiously in your face about it a lot of
The
times. I feel
expansion
like.
story was, like, okay, but
I like Reaper of Silver.
yeah.
Did y'all hear that?
Oh.
Sounds like it's podcast halftime.
You know what I really liked in Diablo 3? The music. The following are the official sponsors of Easy Allies for the month of November. Ground Awesome. Do you enjoy high-quality sound and video production? Well, they don't have that, but go check out mediocre gameplay at twitch.tv/groundawesome. That is twitch.tv/groundawesome. If everything goes as planned, on November 14th, Ground Awesome will be streaming a Pokemon Battle Revolution tournament, followed by Pokemon Shield once it's been released. Please, allies, don't make them regret this investment. Car Keys Express. If you need a replacement car key or a remote, check out carkeysexpress.com/store. Use the coupon code EZA at checkout for free shipping and 10% off of your order. They are proud sponsors of Easy Allies. El Thanis. Our gifted sponsor is SOS Children's Villages. Children are at the heart of everything SOS Children's Villages does, regardless of where they are in the world. SOS Children's Villages is the largest non-governmental organization dedicated to the long-term care of orphaned and abandoned children across the globe. For more information and to donate, the link is in the description. And our mega sponsor, ViewSonic. Ever wonder what a gaming monitor from Tron might look like? How about the most Star Trek monitor ever? The new XG27 series from ViewSonic Elite has finally dropped and looks fantastic. Featuring innovative nano IPS technology, a 1 millisecond response time, and 165 hertz refresh rate, your monitor of the future has finally arrived. Visit viewsonic.com/elite to learn more, and for giveaways and updates, follow @ViewSonic Gaming on Instagram and Twitter. All of these links are available in the description. Thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you, sponsors. Are you allowed to say, don't make me regret spending this money on this sponsor? Are you allowed to just say, like, man, this
It's a
was a
plea.
lot.
It's a plea.
Don't make me regret this.
Hey, if there's a really nasty feedback to that, just let me know in the comments before next week's podcast. And then I'll pass that on to them. Be like, community they don't like being pushed around like that.
What I thought was like when it's like, don't make me regret this. It's like they show up for the Pokemon Revolution tournament and they're just judgmental. Last time I played that game, chat was very judgmental. Look out for that when you're streaming a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like it all comes down to delivery because, like, Jones said that in a way where it's like, oh, like, pretty light. Like, I think Jones could get away with saying Epic Entertainment. I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
That's why he's
bring us
bringing
together
up.
through Epic Entertainment.
Yeah. Using bullshit to bring us together. You know what I mean?
You got me sold, dude. I gotta buy some of that. So I got a mysterious email from Daniel Bloodworth, but actually from the Easy Allies Plays channel. Because somebody sent a message to the Easy Allies Plays channel. Bloodworth reads them, filters through them. I gotta assume most of them are bad, but every once in a while I get an email from Bloodworth that somebody sent to that particular channel. The reason I bring it up on this podcast is that a couple of podcasts ago, we talked about Riot games. We talked about League of Legends. And this entire panel,
Oh no.
Yeah, we're
everybody in the
getting into
comments, still on Twitter, people are like, hey, look at the views. How could you say it's not popular? And I never said it's not popular. It's like, look, there's an SNL skit. How could you say it's not popular? It's like, you're not. But check this out.
What is
Check
happening?
out this email. This is everything
so then I read
wanted.
500 comments yelling at me, but I got this.
This is the
one. Email.
This is the one I was hoping for, baby. Okay, so disclosure. Thank you, Bloodworth, for sending this to me. If anyone is upset about this portion of the podcast, send it to Bloodworth. Tell Bloodworth how popular League of Legends is. Okay, so disclosure. This is somebody who's an investor in Electronic Arts, Take-Two, Activision Blizzard, Nintendo, Tencent, both the holding company of Tencent. Or no, sorry,
I
it
sent
is.
the email to you because it was directed at you, but okay.
Okay. Riot is, unfortunately, as a shareholder, not in its own league. This is their revenue by year. 2015, 1.6 bill. 2016, 1.8 bill. Nice. 2017, 2.1 bill. Hey. 2018, 1.4 bill. What happened? For reference, EA's most valuable division, FIFA, here we go. This is unit sales plus Ultimate Team. 2015, 1.3 bill. 2016, 1.4 bill. 2017, 1.6 bill. 2018, 1.8 bill. So, FIFA made more money than League of Legends in 2018 alone, just off just that portion. The Pokemon Company has generated between 2.25 to 3.5 billion per year over the last 5 years. I think this is where Bossman was trying to reach in terms of merchandising and sellable IP. Yeah, you get me, dude. I think the disconnect comes from the fact that popularity over user base does not correlate directly to revenue, though it does help. The region matters greatly. For illustration's sake, Facebook, their fourth quarter average revenue per user for the USA was $36 per user, while in Asia Pacific, it was $2.50 per user. $36 to $2.50 is the difference there. Riot has a huge following in Asia. Riot has explored merchandising out there, but there is very little IP protection and counterfeiting protections in the areas that they are the most popular. Their view is that it's also a PR nightmare to sell in the USA and Western Europe and exclude the main region, which is Asia. It's possible this view will change as revenue is starkly declining. Tencent's valuation has dropped by almost 100 billion this year, around the valuation size of the whole United States airline industry, mostly attributed to declining revenue in gaming, which is Epic, Riot, and mobile. You may find most of these figures from the corporate 10K filings on the SEC's website. Of course, I check that normally, or on each company's respective investor relation pages. None of this is investment advice. Thank you for all your podcast videos. Hope this information is relevant, useful, and if it isn't, hope it found junk mail. Best health, Viewer V. Ooh, how mysterious. Viewer V.
That's
V
like
has
an
come
anime
too.
villain.
Yes. This is everything I wanted to hear, basically. But no, I think that is interesting. I think it's basically, hey, yeah, they can be the most viewed esport, but it's still harder to make money in the Asian markets with your merchandising. And when we looked at the globally, the most successful media franchises of all time, so much yellow there. So much of that was merchandising.
Well, and also, yeah, like I'm sure this person, viewer V, would agree. Just like in investing, if you're a company like that, diversification is hugely important, right? And like if they're not able to get those other revenue streams going, it will start declining over time if it's just one product.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're hoping that they can make these other games and get big, you know, with their Counter-Strike and their whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, stop selling me SNL skits when FIFA makes more money than League of Legends.
Was that include? That wasn't. That was just including EA's FIFA, right?
Yeah, that was just FIFA,
Yeah.
and Ultimate Team I think is a huge part of why FIFA. Which is gross. Look, none of this is good.
What's Ultimate Team?
Ultimate Team is the booster packs.
Oh,
It's
Microtransaction
yeah,
stuff,
well, so Ultimate Team gives me the heebie-jeebies.
One of the only, I think the only time I've ever been hacked on any account I've ever had for some media thing.
Ooh, baby.
I got my 360 profile got hacked, and then I got it back like a couple days. I called them right away, and they were like, "Oh, everything's restored," and like, so got a new password and like signed in, and they were like, you know, there's all my packs from FIFA, and I was like, I was oddly, because there was not a lot of damage at the end of the day. I was kind of like, I'm kind of like flattered, you know, that like I'm a part of this fun craze, you know.
No, I don't know. You were flattered that you
Flattered
had
to be
booster
on
packs?
the
That they
black
chose
market.
me, yeah, to be a part, you know.
this is not an
They
invitation
felt-
to hack.
They felt that my account was important enough to help them with their dreams
I don't
of
think that's
creating
what
the
the hell-
ultimate team. I hope they did. I hope their team was indeed the ultimate.
Well, it sounds like you get to keep the players, man. Those are your players now.
Yeah, but it's like 4-year-old FIFA game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is
gotta
like
keep
on in a
them
year
going.
too, man.
You got it, yeah.
It's now time for love and respect.
Love and respect.
So seriously, you just forwarded me that email without reading it, Bled?
I skimmed a little bit of it to make sure it wasn't like entirely crazy talk. But
Oh, okay. Oh, so you're saying part of that was crazy talk?
I mean, like I said, like I just like it seems like a legitimate email, and
I think viewer V
was
makes a lot of
directed to
sense.
you. Yeah.
What if I'm viewer V?
Kyle,
we discussed
I
that?
thought
I
that
didn't even
very
think about
same-
that.
I certainly did.
no.
Look, we do so many bits on this podcast. How is that not a
You
bit?
just saying it out loud doesn't make it any less of a bit.
Why should I think that was real? Why would I? Okay.
Viewer V.
I hope that it was you, but you wrote it in like a fugue state
Yeah.
at night and have no memory of it.
It's like my own little Tyler Durden
Yeah.
is viewer V.
Viewer V is your Tyler Durden.
Looking over his shoulder, walking down the street.
And he's like actually a super competent investor.
He makes lots of good, really,
He's
just
making you,
research.
like thousands of dollars.
Slide.
Slide. I wanted to thank all the first timers. We got a lot of, because we made the joke last week about people not like submitting questions despite being in the $5 tier. We got a lot of first timers of people submitting to Love and Respect this
Nice.
week.
I didn't pick
Welcome,
any of them,
welcome.
but there were a lot of first timers. I just want to say thanks.
We might pick some. I got some good ones from first timers actually. No Death Stranding takes.
None.
I got a lot of people who wanted our takes on Death Stranding. I just want to let everybody. That's not time yet, I think.
Watch Frame Trap tomorrow.
Yeah,
got
watch
a-
Frame Trap.
also,
Yeah.
we've
Man,
got a
watch that review. You
review.
don't want my take.
What's
I
up?
don't want my take. After you got that review,
Well, that's the thing is it's not
I got
discussed.
second class takes.
A lot of people want like your podcast takes for Death Stranding. You know what I mean? Like not like the let's discuss the game that will be on Frame Trap.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
it going to be the whole episode too?
It's not going to be I mean, you never know exactly how a frame trap is going to go until you get there. But
Yeah.
there will be, you know, Ian and Huber have played through the entire game in addition to myself. So you'll have 3 people who have played through the game
Great.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Also, we're filming our spoiler mode on Tuesday.
So
That'll happen next week sometime.
If you're thirsting for Death Stranding discussion, it's coming.
it is coming. Like,
We're embargoed until Monday. We can't talk about like the end.
do you think that's what it is though? Like people just want the hot takes? Is, like, just
they
the
want the hot
knee-jerk-
takes. Yeah,
knee-jerk
on both
reactions?
sides. Yeah, there's a lot of hot take wanting, and I can't do it this week. I can't do it.
The hot
Yeah.
take is that there is no hot take.
Oh, they're hot
Oh,
takes.
I said no. I said no.
Hot takes.
Oh, you know what? I do have a Death Stranding one though.
Was that planned?
That was not planned. It's such a bizarre story that I thought I'd include it. It has nothing to do with the actual video game.
Okay.
And so I thought like, hey, if you're really, really thirsting, like maybe this will be fun.
Kojima's in a diner. Got it.
Salutations, allies. I was visiting London last week and I stumbled across an event in Camden Market I wasn't aware was happening. The Death Stranding live experience. I thought I'd describe to you what it was like, given we are on the cusp of the game's release, and most people won't get a chance to see all this altogether bizarre piece of live theater. Did anyone know this was happening?
I had no idea.
I knew that they were doing a tour.
I've seen press events where like Kojima walks out on stage and everybody flips out, and it's like out in the middle of the street somewhere. Like
This is not that.
At the same time, I feel like
This is
playing
weird, man.
Death Stranding is like a capital L, capital E live experience.
I promise no takes. The experience was being
You brought
held
this on yourself.
above a busy market in a red brick building. There was a huge queue space with signs saying 60 minutes from here from outside of the building, but the line was almost completely empty when we arrived. In the line, there were screens showing concept art and the latest trailer, which was all new to me as I've been on media blackout. We were also given a brochure of Death Stranding merchandise you could buy at the end of the experience, including a Kojima wristwatch for £300.
Wow.
This got me thinking too. I can't stop thinking about that chart and how much money people make from merchandise.
Who's bigger, Hideo Kojima or Norman Reedus?
A $300, and it's not a Hideo Kojima watch, right? It's Kojima Productions watch, but it's a Kojima watch. Like that's your name on it, man. Like that's, whew, okay.
It's a little weird.
You gotta be honest, a little weird. But clearly they're going to make more money from merchandise than they are from the game sales. Like I just learned that now. That's freaky. It's like I want merchandise is what he wanted mostly for. Okay. Upon entering the experience, there's a camera set up to take your photo with a statue of Mads Mikkelsen's character. Taking a photo was seemingly mandatory, even for people who didn't know what was going on.
great.
I love that.
I want those pictures.
Yeah, I mean, it's just,
You know what?
like, no, thank you. No, take the picture.
You know what the live experience should be? Mm-hmm. They should just. You get in there, you spend all day waiting in line, you get in there, they hand you a box, and they're like, okay, 10 miles away.
Yeah.
You just start running.
Yeah, go. After this, everyone went into a pristine white hallway with glass cubicles on both sides showing harnessed mannequins and screens with BBs in them. And on the ceiling, there was a baby's mobile with little cutouts of whales in it. Our tour guide began explaining what the BBs are, and then handed over to a voiceover who repeated dialogue, I assume from the game itself. Then the lights started to flicker, and our tour guide said, Control, we're having power issues in room 1. Over.
Oh boy.
Obviously, we all took this very seriously. Our guide told us that we were locked down in here until the issue was fixed, after which the mobile began moving on its own accord and the lights in the room went red. Our guide quickly ushered us out of the room and into the tunnel, which was a brick room with broken glass and rubble on the floor, as well as a projector screen in the middle. Our guide told us we'd be safe there, and then a video began playing of Mads Mikkelsen's characters walking through a similar tunnel alongside several people wearing skull masks. During this video, smoke began to fill into the room, and 2 people wearing those skull masks and wielding rifles creeped into the room, getting up close with all the visitors. My partner only noticed one of them turning and getting startled by the other being right in her face. She screamed, causing the skull masked man to break character laughing. After this was over, we were led to the gift shop with no explanation.
To the gift shop. I want seriously now that October's over, I think they're actually running them for like another week or two. But I want people to write in like experiences from Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, and and I want Kyle to then read them.
Yeah,
I like this genre of like haunted house. Book reports read by Kyle
house
Bossman.
Where you get the merchandise brochure first.
Of course.
Mandatory
gift shop
photographs.
after.
So you get a print. They print out your photo with you and Maz. They print that out for you.
Good.
And then apparently Kojima was there the day before. Stayed for the experience, 6 hours signing things and taking photos, which is cool. Hope you enjoyed hearing about my experience. I'm still as clueless about Death Stranding as I was beforehand. Love and respect. Alex McMillian from Northern Ireland. Fun story. Thank you.
Who's
Alex.
funding all this? Kojima Productions, Sony, both? I wonder.
I wonder too, man. I
'Cause
gotta
the more
think that's all
Kojima
Koji
money's
Pro.
in this, the funnier it gets. You
Yeah.
know? If there's like the vibe of Kojima being like, oh, what, you invited me to? Okay, hi everybody, and it's like, wait, this is your company.
It is. I totally, because it doesn't.
It's kind of Willy Wonka-ish. It's great.
We read this whole Jim Ryan interview, right, where he's like, and marketing is going to be global. Everybody's going to be like, this has no feeling of that. This is not the Spider-Man campaign. This is wild.
What if Tencent funded it?
Then I'm not doing a thing.
The watch is pretty good looking. Well, kind of.
Explain the watch.
Okay, it's white, mostly. The what is the band is white silicon. It says "From Sapiens to Ludens" on it, which I know what that means because I've played the game. But like,
Oh boy, I'm rolling my eyes.
no, I didn't mean it like that. But and then the face is white with a black horizon canted at a probably 25-degree angle, and it has 3 circles, 2 of which are gold, and then it has the logo but tilted to fit the horizon. So the watch looks like it's tilted sideways, even though the numbers are all correct.
How many US dollars is that?
$325.
Okay.
It's a limited edition product, available only for pre-sale until, and shipping is expected in mid-July. Unclear if it's the coming July or the past July.
You know what I feel comfortable about? I feel like I may have sold one of those. I feel like, Ian, we may have just
By
sold one of those
mentioning it?
watches.
Yeah. I almost, during this portion, I almost bought a Fragile Express t-shirt because it just made me remember that I maybe wanted one, but then I looked at it and
probably a cool shirt.
I
too.
didn't hit buy.
I would encourage you to hit buy.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right. Let's test the panel's knowledge. This is a hard game. This is a hard game. Hey, allies. With so many big moves and stories constantly happening in the industry, I thought it'd be fun to play a game to see how well you remember these events. The following is a list of events in the video game industry, and you have to guess what year the event took place.
Okay.
And I won't make everybody guess every one. If you nail it, we'll do it. Kaz Hirai stepped down as president and CEO of Sony. What year did that happen?
20.
You got the 20 right.
Yeah.
2009?
2013.
Was that later?
2017?
2018. It was just last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's not as
We're off
vocal
to a
as I-
terrible start.
I thought that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Cliffy.
he moved from PlayStation to be over all
Yeah,
of Sony proper.
All of Sony.
Got
And
it.
then it was only 3 or 4 years that he was Sony CEO, I feel like. Cliff Bleszinski's studio, Boss Key Productions, was founded in
2017.
2015.
13.
Oh, it's a tie. 2014 is the answer.
14,
okay.
Yeah, that's good guesses though. Square Enix acquired IDOS Interactive.
20.
This is such a hard one.
2009.
Ooh, Ian, you nailed it.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Woo!
Bullseye. What made you get that?
It just came to me. I don't know.
Okay. Hey, if it just came to you,
Fragile Express.
just
Fragile
popped in there.
I didn't buy
you
the
got to
shirt.
click buy now.
All right, fine.
The first gameplay for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was shown at the Game Awards in this year.
2016. No, 17.
16 is when the Wii,
2014.
so Switch came out.
2014.
2014 is the answer, yeah.
2014.
Yep.
Wow.
Bungie split with Microsoft to become an independent studio.
That was this year, wasn't it?
No.
No, they split with
That was
Activision
Activision.
this year.
Oh, right.
So this one's wild. This one I cannot believe.
This I should know.
2013?
2012?
2011.
2007.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
Right, Reach comes out, and then they're done with Halo after Reach.
was Reach 2007?
No.
Yeah,
No,
it was
that was
later.
Halo
It was
3.
later. Yeah.
Maybe
would
it
have to
did.
be.
So
This-
what? Halo 3 is 2006.
I believe Halo 3 is 2006. That sounds right.
Man,
No,
I
I'm
guess.
pretty sure Halo 3 was 7.
Ian, we got to fact check this one.
I mean, yeah, it's either
I'm
6 or
buying a
7.
shirt 'cause
It's
you
either
told
6
me
or
so.
7.
okay, all right. Buy the shirt and then
One
make
side at a time.
make sure that's true because that doesn't seem
All
right.
What thing am I looking up?
Bungie split with Microsoft to become an independent studio.
I mean, were they independent and only? That seems.
I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like it's got to be 2010.
The
at the
article
latest.
that says from Fortune.com that says why they're splitting was written in October 5th of 2007.
Whoa. That's just
a-
wild
that's
stuff,
a
man.
wild one.
That's a wild one.
Wow.
That's why we play the game.
You wild one.
Hideo Kojima was awarded the Industry Icon Award at the Game Awards.
2017?
2016.
That makes sense.
Is that Metal Gear Solid 5 year? It was Metal Gear Solid.
It was a year after.
Oh, okay. Right, because he couldn't come Metal Gear Solid 5 year. Yeah, that connects.
Damn, that's a $39 T-shirt after shipping.
Oh, no.
God. Oh.
Kojima wants that money.
I have regrets, dude.
Gotta get that merch money.
You
PlayStation
made me do this.
PlayStation 2 is discontinued worldwide.
Oh, God. Yeah, this one's hard, too.
2013, 2012.
2013. You nailed it, man. Yes.
I want to get one right.
PS4 year, yeah. Same year. By the way, our downstairs neighbors, this music is so
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if how well it picks up, but man, just hearing the
picks it up.
saxophone.
Picks
Oh,
up.
it picks it up. Good.
Here, I'll try to mic the floor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you actually.
Acclaim declared bankruptcy and shut down in this year. Acclaim.
Oh, but then they came back, right? Somebody else
I think
I don't
like
somebody's
think
like
they
fake
came
operating
back.
as them or something.
No,
Yeah.
you're thinking Atari.
2006.
That's a pretty good guess. I want to say 2004.
You nailed it, man. Bullseye. 2004.
Nice.
Why'd you think that?
Burnout.
Oh, okay.
Burnout going to EA.
The Xbox 360 was announced by a celebrity on MTV.
Yeah, Elijah Wood.
Ooh, you got bonus points for that.
Yep.
What was the year?
2005.
Probably, yeah. Who? Do you know what band performed at that opening?
Ooh, I'll give you bonus points. What do you got?
The Killers.
Yes, they did.
I was gonna guess Weezer.
Wow, that's such a 2005 thing. Yeah, that's really cool.
They played Mr. Brightside.
I could not watch that event today.
That was a
song is so
weird.
sad.
I watched that event.
Yeah.
It was
weird
weird.
event.
It was very
watched it
weird.
too, yeah.
It's like
Which
worth
has been-
going
it's been a
back and
tradition.
A
watching.
lot of
If you
rings.
think about
A lot of
it.
rings.
Think about Microsoft events since then. They still
Oh.
kind of echo that event a bit.
Yeah,
No, how so?
I get what he's saying.
There's just this strange disconnect about how they present information.
Yeah, like watching Inside Xbox,
Like,
you get a
they-
strange
they
disconnect,
seem
but it's a different
excited,
kind of
but
strange
yeah.
disconnect.
Wow, you know what? I can't.
Yeah.
It sounds insane, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all vibes.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Inside Xbox vibes are kind of the same vibe of that weird live event on MTV.
It's like
Out in the desert. People that went to that don't sound like they had good experiences.
It's like they have their gas, their foot on the gas all the way for the meters of like trying to be cool and uncomfortable at the same time.
They're trying to be uncomfortable.
No, they're not trying to. In trying to be cool, they are also completely uncomfortable at the exact same level.
Oh, so like
They're going in parallel.
that gas pedal is like right next to it.
Yes.
And you can't press
Yeah,
one down
they're-
without
they're-
the other
they're-
one.
They keep trying to just hit one. They're hitting both.
What a weird little gas pedal. Then we got to talk about this on the podcast. Visceral Games was shut down by EA.
Why?
In which year?
2011.
Well, it'd be after 2016.
2012.
2017.
Wait.
The Easy Allies podcast.
Oh, I just
Yeah.
keep thinking of whenever Dead Space 3 was.
No,
That's
they were
when
working.
it
It was Star
basically-
Wars. They were
that's
working
when
on
it
Star Wars at the
spiritually
time.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when that was a death.
That was a death. Look forward to Star Wars in 1 week. The Sega Dreamcast released in North America. So easy.
Yeah,
99. We got
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one. Oh, too easy. I think this person was trying to encourage us near the end.
Thanks.
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Last one.
Got two.
The final MLB 2K game was released in. A lot of sports fans here on the panel. These guys loved the MLB 2K franchise.
2013?
Oh, it's 2013. You nailed it.
Wow. That's really good.
That's what I call them.
really good. That's
Sorry for making money of blood.
some
Love and
ball
respect.
Bloodworth.
Audega. Let's do one last one.
It's funny because my brain was actually like picturing the logo, so I don't know if like just like mental snapshots of the old game trailers library or what.
Oh yeah.
Oh, maybe, dude. Wow.
That's funny.
You never know where information comes from, right? All right, this one's like a sneaky little. It's a fun, sneaky little comment. Hello, allies. I've always thought that Kyle was being Chicken Little when it came to the Xbox Game Pass. They are a huge company. Why would I worry about them losing money? Well, now I am. Microsoft is offering to convert your Xbox Live Gold and Game Pass time to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate at a 1-to-1 ratio if you sign up for a month of Ultimate for $1. I was just a bit short of 3 years remaining on my gold time, so I went and got a 3-month Xbox Live Gold card and redeemed it on my computer. There, I found Microsoft will give you an extra month just for turning on recurring billing. I said yes and then turned it off right after. As a result, I have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate until November of 2022 for $25. That is 70 cents a month, and the 6 months of Spotify Premium I had to jump on. Their loss is my gain. LNR, Chase. Chase just life hacked it.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you wanted that tip, love Chase, thank you.
I definitely want the life hack sweet deal part of the Easy Allies podcast to be as permanent a thing as we can.
Can I do the same voice every time?
I just love people coming.
I went to Microsoft.
Here's
Yeah.
how you get it.
It was an interesting moment
Proud of you.
because
Proud of you.
I told we had the Outer Wilds devs in here, and I was like, oh yeah,
Outer
hey, I
Worlds.
got
Outer Worlds.
whatever. I signed up for Games Pass PC for this game, you know, and then I was like, is it bad? Like, are you sad that people get it on Games Pass? And they're like, no, it's awesome, we love it.
Oh, that's really nice of them
Great.
to say.
They didn't elaborate why, but like,
Yeah.
apparently the devs love you using Games Pass and want you to get it however you can. So yeah. I just found that surprising from a dev
Yeah.
that they liked it.
A dev worth saying owned by Microsoft.
Owned by Microsoft. Yeah.
Yeah.
It like gets them some kind of like, I don't know, points in the cafeteria or something.
That's what I heard is a cafeteria points.
Yeah. You can't eat
you,
otherwise.
You can eat, but you can't get the Jello.
Right. Yeah.
And what's the point of eating with no Jello?
Almost nothing.
Are these good bits? Do you like these?
Tweet at Trailer Joe.
You like those bits? You like the Jello bits?
It's time for bets. Next week's bet's about Need for Speed Heat. Listen, this is a rude bet, and I acknowledge that. This is toxic. I made a toxic bet this week, and I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm in a bad mood. I'm going to go through with this one. I'm doing this.
You in a bad mood?
Yeah.
You all right?
Yeah. No.
You want to talk about it?
Okay, yeah. So when I'm in a bad mood, I don't want to talk about it. Need for Speed Heat released Friday, November 8th. I'm going to look at the top 10 most recent reviews on OpenCritic.com for this game, which, by the way, Blood has no review copies out yet, right?
Yeah, it does not seem that way.
And this is Thursday. It's releasing tomorrow.
I am getting the game the morning of launch day, which means it'll already been out for at least 12 hours.
It's tomorrow.
Right.
Launch day is tomorrow,
and
yeah.
there's also the EA access
Yeah.
that was available.
Why does this feel like whoops, it's out?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we meant to not.
And I've
but
checked
It is.
I've checked like the Metacritic to make sure, and like there were no reviews on any platform, so it's not just us this time.
How many times will I see the word good?
4.
Jones. Daniel Bloodworth.
5.
Ben Moore.
2.
Ooh, I like the 2. I also said 5. Ian Hink.
1.
Ooh,
Okay.
let me lock those in.
There's a lot of them.
That's good low bets.
Points.
There's got to be a lot of goods, right? I actually have no
You could say
idea.
pretty good. You could say there's a lot of things you could describe as good.
I put some
like-
skepticism because of how late it's coming, and then the people that were playing it on EA Access, they were saying, "Hey, it's
Good.
It's a good turnaround from the last game." So
Yeah. Man, I don't know. You could say any game, and I have no idea how many goods are going to appear either way.
That's what I was thinking. Is
Yeah.
like, is good a word that shows up often in a review? Like, I think
Right.
you would say
Yeah.
like it handles well,
Yeah.
or the graphics are startling.
But
know,
you
or
can
whatever.
also bet
Startling
on
graphics.
not good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you can
yeah.
also, and you
You
can also
know
just
what?
bet on just lazy writing. Just somebody using the word good to describe everything.
How do you end up
is
selecting
good,
those? Are
this
you
is
just saying
good.
the top is like whatever shows up is the most recent on
Yeah,
Open
most
Critic?
recent reviews.
Okay.
Yep. Last week's bet was about Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. That released on Tuesday, November 5th. The bet was about how many seconds into the opening cinematic we'd have to wait for until we get to see Shadow the Hedgehog.
People called you out.
Oh, because it was already publicly available? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but none of us saw it.
No, we definitely did. None of us definitely
did
knew,
not.
you
But
know.
they say you could have seen it.
I'll give you a spoiler. I didn't win this bet. Don't worry about it. Jones, you bet 25 seconds. Huber bet 13. Brad bet 7. I bet 8. Ian, you bet 56 seconds. You watch the intro?
No.
You get to see some not monument. What is the word I'm searching for?
Statues?
Landmark. Yeah, landmark. You get to see some landmarks of Tokyo.
Great.
You know? Oh, then you get to see the stadium. And there's a big old balloon of Mario and a big old balloon of Sonic. And then there's a track. And first you see the Mario squad. And then 15 seconds into this trailer,
My shows up.
Shadow the Hedgehog, babe. My shows up, yeah. Put the kids to bed. My shows up. I wanted to talk about that on the podcast this week.
Okay.
Is my an inappropriate for children character?
Who is this?
My
It's
is
a Fatal Fury, right?
Who am
Yeah.
I to say? Like,
SNK character at least.
yeah, who just has a big exposed chest, big fat boobies.
Just typing SNK,
Yeah.
my is the next thing that comes up.
Yeah, and so is that not okay? Can you not put like an E for everyone game and have her in the game?
Depends on the company.
Have any of these games been E for everyone?
I bet she's been in one E for everyone game.
Sure.
Certainly not Mario and Sonic at the Olympics 2020. Anyway, Huber nailed it. Huber did great last week. He had great takes.
in tune with Shadow.
Yep. And so Huber is in tune with Shadow as he is, puts the scrappy little pigs, which is me and Jones actually, at 23.
Wee!
Gorgeous Gorillas, 24. Ooh. Gorgeous Gorillas have taken the lead for the first time in months and months and months, Jones.
Have we ever won?
Yes,
you
you
won
won
last
last year.
year.
That's why they're the Gorgeous
Oh.
Gorillas.
And we said that last week.
I don't understand what's happening
All right.
ever.
Yeah, that's a big deal. That's Jones. We only have
know.
so many months
I know.
left.
I
I did
know.
count. There's still a lot of months left in the year. There's still many, many months. Because I was looking at when do I do Overwatch? So it's there's still time. There's still time.
I think he means weeks, but they're not even weeks. Many weeks left.
There are many weeks. Excuse me for saying months. There are many, many weeks left in the year.
What, like 6?
Yeah,
And then we're like all gone for all of them.
that is
Right.
the thing. Is we got the break coming up. Yeah.
Right. There's only 4 more episodes,
But
dude.
we're
Wait,
probably
let's
gonna-
count
4 more bets.
Well, we're
6
probably
weeks is
gonna-
not a lot of weeks, man.
There's 5 or 6, I think.
We're probably gonna pre-shoot some for when most of us are gone.
But yeah, the bets are done by the time we do pre-shoots.
Oh right,
Yep.
right. Yeah, there's only like 4
like
more
4 more
bets
bets.
left.
No. Let's not say 4 more. Let's figure this out. Actually,
Well, what day is it?
today
It's
is
the 7th.
the 7th. Yeah.
That's
Ian, give me your impression.
I was going to say initially the female body is not intrinsically, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, she can't exist in an E game. But then just the way that they've got her standing and moving and stuff, it's clearly,
She bobbles.
very gazy.
Sure. Okay.
There's a gaze.
Sure. You know what? Fair enough. That's the discussion I want to have. We had it.
Yeah.
Ian,
Saying
the
that
calendar.
And then hearing the
Oh,
jazz
what about the
underneath.
calendar?
How many episodes of betting
Well,
do we have left?
today is the 7th.
Yes.
Then it's the 14th, the 21st, the 28th, the 5th. One moment. And then the 12th.
So that's 5. Okay.
And then the 19th and 26th will probably
19th, we're
be-
out.
We're not
Yeah,
going
we're
to squeak
gone,
one in
so-
there?
Definitely out on.
I think we'll
Ian will
pre-shoot
be out at
those.
the 19th.
Yeah.
So what you're telling
I'll
me is
be
there's
gone.
5 more bets then?
Yeah.
I think it's 5 more bets.
Well, here. 1,
Whoa.
2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 or 6.
And also, because there's the Game Awards show. We're going to
yeah.
record the podcast right after the Game Awards. We don't know if that's going to be a full panel or not.
Yeah.
Wow. Jonesy, we got to lock this down, dude. We can do this. Anyway, if you're interested in more stuff from the Easy Allies, check out patreon.com/Easy Allies. That'd be the website you would go to if you're interested in supporting us. But also you can see a lot of the other stuff that we do because it's not just this podcast. It is reviews. It is other good podcasts. And live streams and all sorts of things. Worth checking that out. If you give us $5 or more a month, you get this podcast 2 days early. You get it on Fridays as opposed to Sundays. And you get early access to a whole bunch of other shows other than this one. And you get to submit to Love and Respect. Who's in the Huber seat?
Blood.
Huber, yep, was second. So Bloodworth, you get the right and responsibility to share your Twitter handle with the world. You get to promote any Easy Allies video you'd like to promote. You get to have the final word on anything you've disagreed with, want to reiterate, or just popped in your head right at this moment. And you get to sign off with your trademark sign off. Take it away.
My Twitter handle is @dbloodworth2.
Who's D Bloodworth 1?
For a while was the hashtagonist. There's a history for you.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. You know that story.
I do not know the story.
The
D.
hashtagonist
Bloodworth-
started his social media infamy by impersonating me.
He says he started with buttons, but it was
Account
Bloodworth
suspended.
before buttons. Yeah.
Story for another day, I guess. Wow.
I mean, there's nothing to promote other than Box Peak Season 2. So check out Season 1 and follow up, watch the new episode, which will be up probably before you see this, unless you manage to get this podcast up super early, but you're going to be watching Season 1 at 10 a.m., so...
Yeah, I wonder what I'll do first.
Yeah.
They're around the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
One before the after, certainly.
And then, final word. I want to play the Stretchers in North America. And we'll see you before the next Blood Moon rises.
What I'm not a humongous fan of is Final Fantasy VII. What I am a huge fan of is marketing campaigns.
Sexy.